Ini untuk industri pertambangan, kebijakan dari pemerintah itu harus mendukung pengembangan pertambangan ke depan dengan mengundang penambang-penambang muda untuk masuk ke industri ini.
Oke, baik. Itu tadi harapannya sepertinya cukup lugas sekali dan semoga memang bisa kita realisasikan bersama. Pak Ores, terima kasih banyak atas waktunya, sudah diberikan kesempatan untuk berkunjung ke Inalum. Nanti kita akan lanjutkan lagi di lain waktu.
Terima kasih, Mas Fajar.
Ya pemirsa, demikian Decision Maker kali ini. Kami akan kembali menjumpai Anda di edisi berikutnya. Saya Fajar Wayong, terima kasih. Sampai jumpa.
Ministry of Manpower launches command pause for 2021 religious holiday allowances. Sentul City has sold one of the biggest mall in Bogor area, which is Ion Mall, worth 1.9 trillion rupiah. Good afternoon, viewers. Market headlines ready to provide you a number of informations from business, economic, and capital market sectors. With me, Clara Antawijaya, and this is Market Headlines. The Ministry of Manpower launched a command pause for 2021 religious holiday allowances. Minister of Manpower said that this command pause would provide services, consultations, and complaints regarding the payment of religious holiday allowance.
The Ministry of Manpower launched the command pause for 2021 religious holiday allowances. Minister of Manpower Ida Fauzia emphasized that this command pause provides several access to services that can be used by workers and employers. Not only that, the command pause can also be accessed online through the Ministry of Manpower's website and call center. Not only in Jakarta, religious holiday allowance posts have also been established at the provincial and city regency levels throughout Indonesia. In its implementation, the pause for religious holiday allowances will involve a monitoring team for elements of trade or labor unions and employers' organizations. With this pause, it is hoped that the payment of religious holiday allowances is in accordance with the mechanisms and provisions of the law in an orderly and effective manner.
Tujuannya adalah memberikan pelayanan konsultasi pembayaran THR keagamaan, memantau pelayanan pengaduan pembayaran THR keagamaan, memantau pelaksanaan penegakan hukum pembayaran THR keagamaan, dan melakukan koordinasi terkait hasil pelaksanaan penegakan hukum pembayaran THR keagamaan dengan instansi terkait.
Previously, the Minister of Manpower Ida Fauzia issued a circular on the implementation of providing religious holiday allowances for workers, which obliged employers to provide this allowance in full for workers 7 days before Eid. Nevertheless, Ida provides concessions for entrepreneurs who are still affected by the pandemic by paying them no later than 1 day before Eid. Jakarta, Ade Firmansyah for IDX Channel.
Just now, the central bank announced it's kept its benchmark interest rate at 3.5%, a record low to support the Indonesian's economic recovery from the coronavirus pandemic. Bank Indonesia held its key rate steady at 3.5%. It also kept its deposit facility and lending facility rates at 2.75% and 4.25% respectively. And during virtual press conference, Bank Indonesia Deputy Governor Fajar Wayong stated that Indonesia's central bank has kept its benchmark interest rate steady at its 6 to safeguard the rupiah amidst COVID-19 pandemic, even though central bank predicts that inflation will remain low.
Rapat Dewan Gubernur Bank Indonesia pada tanggal 19 dan 20 April 2021 memutuskan untuk mempertahankan BI 7D reverse repo rate sebesar 3,5% dan juga mempertahankan suku bunga deposit facility sebesar 2,75% dan suku bunga lending facility tetap sebesar 4,25%. Keputusan ini sejalan dengan perlunya menjaga stabilitas nilai tukar rupiah dari dampak masih tingginya ketidakpastian pasar.
Angkasa Pura I reports that it has served 6.12 million passengers at 15 managed airports during first quarter of 2021, with the highest passenger traffic occurred in March with 2.34 million passengers.
Angkasa Pura I reports that it has served 6.12 million passengers at 15 managed airports during first quarter of 2021. Meanwhile, aircraft traffic was 84,318 aircraft movements and cargo traffic was 105.41 million kilogram. In detail, the highest number of passengers occurred in March, amounting 2.34 million people. Meanwhile, there were 1.69 million passengers in February 2021 and 2.08 million in January 2021. Meanwhile, the airport with the highest passenger traffic occurred at Sultan Hasanuddin Makassar Airport with 1.58 million people. President Director of Angkasa Pura I, Faik Fahmi explained when compared to passenger traffic in the first quarter of 2020, which reached 70.79 million, there was a decrease in passenger movements reaching 65.5% in the first quarter of 2021. Meanwhile, Angkasa Pura projects an increase in passengers traffic to 40.6 million passengers by the end of 2021. This projection figure is up 29% compared to passengers traffic in 2020, which was only 31.8 million people. IDX Channel team reported.
The government continues to support the increase in export of MSMEs. The coordinating minister for the economy explained that one of the efforts is to encourage export financing through assignments given to Indonesia Exim Bank.
The government ensures that it will continue to push for policies in stimulating stimulus for economic recovery, especially for the MSME sector. In order to facilitate the export of MSMEs, the government has implemented various policies such as policies on business partnerships with large companies. The coordinating minister for the economy, Airlangga Hartarto, explained that the government has provided facilities for licensing as well as the ease of establishing limited companies and cooperatives. In addition, policies in encouraging export pilot businesses continue to be carried out with the ease of applying for export people's business card through the Indonesia Exim Bank.
Usaha rintisan ekspor dapat mengajukan pembiayaan kredit usaha rakyat berorientasi ekspor yang disalurkan oleh lembaga pembiayaan ekspor atau Exim Bank dengan maksimal omset sebesar 50 miliar dengan suku bunga efektif 9% per tahun. Selain itu, terdapat program penugasan khusus untuk ekspor UKM kepada LPI atau Exim Bank untuk mendukung pembiayaan ekspor bagi UMKM yang berorientasi ekspor dengan alokasi sebesar 500 miliar dengan fasilitas antara lain suku bunga 6%.
Erlangga also ensured that the ease of export had been provided through the suspension of value-added taxes and import duties in the bonded logistics sector for small and medium industries. Even technical ministries such as the Ministry of Trade have a program of 1,500 MSME exporters with various programs. From Jakarta, Raharjo Patmo for IDX Channel.
Market headlines will be right back after this quick break. Stay tuned.
Berkah kedamaian Ramadan dengan beragam program spesial IDX Channel. Arjuna hadir setiap hari jam 5:30 sore. Rahmatan lil alamin setiap hari menjelang azan maghrib. Urban Street Food hadir setiap hari jam 6 sore. Syariah Economic bersama Ustadz Hilman Fauzi setiap hari jam 8 malam. Hanya di IDX Channel spesial Ramadan.
Benarkah tren transisi ke energi baru dan terbarukan tidak membuat industri energi fosil lantas surut? Seperti apa dampaknya terhadap sektor migas?
Turunnya atau rendahnya harga minyak dan gas yang sangat drastis turunnya, adanya pandemi yang membuat terbatasnya pergerakan.
Langkah yang dilakukan apa nih Pak?
Hingga hari ini saya kira Brent hari ini sekitar 55. Ini sesuatu yang positif untuk industri yang itu kira.
Menteri Kelautan dan Perikanan Wahyu Sakti Tenggono secara tegas melarang aktivitas ekspor benih lobster.
Karena benur itu adalah kekayaan daripada bangsa ini, kekayaan dari alam ini. Dia hanya boleh dibudidaya.
Presiden Joko Widodo resmi mencabut aturan terkait investasi industri minuman keras.
Bahlil Lahadalia menyebutkan
adalah kita memberikan perizinan berusaha dan insentif bagi UMKM.
Welcome back to Market Headlines. So viewers, Gojek and Tokopedia are reportedly in the final stages of a merger with the valuations of $18 billion. The combinations of the two jumbo startups is reportedly called GoTo.
Gojek and Tokopedia are reportedly in the final stage of a merger with a valuation of $18 billion. The combination of the two jumbo startups is reportedly called GoTo. GoTo will provide services that include ride-hailing, e-commerce, food delivery, payments and logistics, and this is the core business of both companies. The information source say that agreement between the two companies is targeted to be completed this month. In another report, Gojek is said to own 60% of shares in the joint entity. Meanwhile, Tokopedia controls the rest. Previously, the management or leaders of Gojek and Tokopedia reportedly agreed to merge the two companies. The next process awaits approval from the shareholders. The two jumbo startups have some of the same investors such as Google, Temasek Holdings and Sequoia Capital India. Tokopedia is also supported by Alibaba Group Holding, which also has an e-commerce unit in Southeast Asia, namely Lazada. However, Gojek and Tokopedia have not provided detailed information on the agreement. Gojek said that it would provide further information in the near future if there was a corporate action. From IDX Channel team, reported.
Even though Gojek and Tokopedia have not provided detailed information on the merger agreement, let's dig deeper about this potential. And firstly, let's check to the profile of Gojek and Tokopedia at the first graphic. Through the first graphic, we can see these two profiles of Gojek and Tokopedia. Start with the valuations that Gojek have with 10 billion US dollar, while Tokopedia has valuations of 7 billion US dollar. Meanwhile, for an industry, Gojek covers supply chain, logistics, and delivery, while Tokopedia provides e-commerce and direct-to-consumer. While for the investors, here it is. We got to see the jumbo investors for Gojek, which is Formations Group, Sequoia Capital India, and Warburg Pincus. While for Tokopedia, the investors are SoftBank Group, Alibaba Capital, and of course Sequoia Capital India. And the source revealed that the management and leaders of Gojek and Tokopedia reportedly agreed to merge the two companies. The next process awaits approval from the shareholders or the investors. For information, the two jumbo startups have some same investors such as Google, Temasek Holdings, and Sequoia Capital India. Meanwhile, the combinations of these two jumbo startups is reportedly called GoTo, where GoTo will provide services that include ride-hailing, e-commerce, food delivery, payment, and also logistics. In addition, this merger is said to refer to an IPO and the Indonesian Stock Exchange and U.S. Stock Exchange. And one of the scenarios was to combine the two companies prior to IPO on Indonesia and U.S. exchange. And of course, the merger of these jumbo startups has certainly attracted the attentions of the public, especially with the strong positions of these two entities in their respective business sphere. So let's try to review one by one from Gojek on the next graphic. Through the next graphic, we can see comparisons between Gojek and Grab, for example. From the scope of work, Gojek covers 4 countries, meanwhile Grab covers around 8 countries. And the number of downloads, people downloaded Gojek as many as 190 million times. For Grab, wins in this case by 205 million times. And Gojek has a total of driver and seller partners of 2.9 million, while Grab in this case wins again by 9 million drivers and seller partners. When we talk about evaluations, Grab has 14 billion US dollars, while valuations of Gojek in here is 10 billion US dollars, still in the jumbo positions of the valuations. And previously, Gojek and Grab were even rumored to be conducting a merger. But now, rumors of Gojek merging with Grab has stopped because the conversations dragged on and eventually ran underground. And regarding business scope, Gojek, which is actually an Indonesian startup, is not inferior to Grab, where Gojek has expanded overseas. In 2018, the company expanded to Vietnam under the name of Go Viet. A year later, penetrated to Thailand with Get. And even though at the same time it was mentioned, Grab has defeated Gojek in the online transportation sector in Indonesia since 2018. Meanwhile, in the financial business, Gojek has entered to banking by acquiring Bank Jago at the end of 2020. Gojek spent around 160 million US dollar to increase its ownership in Bank Jago to 22.16%. Meanwhile, for now, Bank Jago has transformed into a digital bank. And then, how's the positions of Tokopedia in the e-commerce business spheres? So let's check it into the next graphic. Here it is. We can see some marketplaces in Indonesia. And we bring the example of famous marketplaces in Indonesia. We got Shopee, Tokopedia, Bukalapak, Lazada, and Blibli.com. While these marketplaces have monthly web visits of millions. For example, Shopee has 129.32 million web visits for a month, while Tokopedia has 114.65 million web visits for a month. When we talk about App Store ranking, Shopee leads and Tokopedia as well. But then when we talk about Play Store ranking, Shopee has the first ranking and Tokopedia has the 4th ranking. And we talk about Bukalapak, Lazada, Blibli, they left behind from Shopee and Tokopedia. And SimilarWeb's research result shows that Tokopedia managed to occupy the first positions throughout the first quarter of 2021. Reported by SimilarWeb, Tokopedia dominated around 32.04% of traffic in Indonesia in January 2021. Then the traffic share experienced a jump in March 2021 to 33.07%. Still from SimilarWeb, the number of monthly visits of Tokopedia during the first quarter of 2021 stood at 126.4 million. The positions of Tokopedia was then followed by Shopee, Bukalapak, Lazada, and Blibli. And once again, e-commerce players in Indonesia have shown stiff competition. Meanwhile, if the merger is real, the question is, what digital payment platform will be used later? And before going there, let's take a look at the Daily Social's survey result regarding the use of digital wallet in the next graphic. Here it is. We can see top 5 digital wallets used by respondents. GoPay leads for the percentage of 87%. And then we go to OVO at the second place by 80% of it. And then the rest, we got Dana by 75%, Shopee Pay by 53%, and Link Aja for 47.5%. And we got the source by Daily Social ID and, of course, IDX Channel research. And then currently, Gojek uses its subsidiary platform, Dompet Karya Anak Bangsa, or GoPay. It is the same with Tokopedia, which uses OVO, where OVO has been exclusive payment provider for Tokopedia and Grab. Based on the Deal Street Asia report, Tokopedia owns about 36.1% shares in OVO's parent company. And then the merger with Gojek is said to make Tokopedia have to sell its shares in OVO because Bank Indonesia regulations prohibit one company from becoming a controlling shareholders in more than one payment platform. And yes, viewers, of course, we don't just expect an increase in valuations or bigger market share from the Gojek and Tokopedia merger, but beyond that, hopefully this merger will bring greater benefits, especially for the driver and sellers partners of Gojek and Tokopedia, which in fact is one of the key drivers of these two Indonesian startups. And yes, viewers, stay tuned to Market Headlines because we will be right back after this quick break.
Halo Sobat Milenial, berikut adalah pilihan investasi untuk Sobat Milenial. Yang pertama adalah tabungan di bank. Nah, tabungan di bank ini sifatnya sangat liquid, jadi dapat diambil kapanpun dan dalam bentuk cash. Yang kedua adalah deposito. Investasi dalam deposito dapat diambil ketika jatuh tempo dengan tenor tertentu dan imbal hasilnya 5-6% per tahun. Dan yang ketiga adalah investasi dalam bentuk obligasi. Nah, obligasi ini dibagi dua. Ada obligasi yang diterbitkan oleh pemerintah dan ada obligasi yang diterbitkan oleh perusahaan swasta. Yang keempat, investasi saham. Dengan berinvestasi saham, kita akan mendapatkan dividen atau bagi hasil dari perusahaan. Dan yang kelima adalah investasi reksadana. Reksadana adalah produk investasi yang dikelola oleh manajer investasi. Dalam reksadana dapat menjanjikan imbal hasil 10-20% per tahun. So, kamu pilih investasi yang mana?
Benarkah tren transisi ke energi baru dan terbarukan tidak membuat industri energi fosil lantas surut? Seperti apa dampaknya terhadap sektor migas?
Turunnya atau rendahnya harga minyak dan gas yang sangat drastis turunnya, adanya pandemi yang membuat terbatasnya pergerakan.
Langkah yang dilakukan apa nih Pak?
Hingga hari ini saya kira Brent hari ini sekitar 55. Ini sesuatu yang positif untuk industri yang itu kira.
Welcome back to Market Headlines. So viewers, let's take a look at Jakarta Composite Index intraday movement. So earlier today, JCI was open at a level of 6,025.61, and then approaching the closing time of our session, the index was on the level of 6,001.81. And the index was showing weakening trend by the second session closing time. The index was closed at the level of 6,038.32. In short, JCI went down 0.23%. Next, we're going to see the sectoral movement. Leading the dynamics of today's trading, we got MISC Industry as the leader of the strengthening trend that went up 1.57%. We got agriculture that went up 0.81%. Finance went down 0.91%. And mining went down 0.82%. Moving on to the top gainers and the top losers, here are the key highlights from today's trading sessions. We got TPAG that went up 5.15% to the level of 715 per share. We got TBIG that went up 7.63% to the level of 2,680 per share. We got Aneka Tambang that went up 0.43% to the level of 2,350 per share. And we got IRA that went up 7.24% to the level of 2,000 per share. Meantime, for the top losers for today's trading stations, we got BBCA that went down 0.56% to the level of 31,175 rupiah. And then we got BBRI that went down 1.6% to the level of 4,310 rupiah. We got MDKA that went down 4.2% to the level of 2,280 rupiah. We got Telkom Indonesia that went down 0.6% to the level of 3,320 rupiah per share. Next, we're going to see the intraday movement of rupiah towards US dollar. So rupiah opened at the level of 14,604. Rupiah was also showing strengthening trend towards US dollar and was closed at the level of 14,466. In summary, rupiah went up 0.94%. Moving on to the property sector, Sentul City has sold one of the biggest mall in Bogor area, which is Ion Mall, with the mall worth 1.9 trillion rupiah. Sentul City sold the land and building of Ion Mall Sentul City to Ion Mall Indonesia, worth 1.9 trillion rupiah. According to information disclosure on Indonesia Stock Exchange, the company will use funds to finance operational activities, pay debt, and improve cash for business continuity. Paying debt is one of the priority. Sentul City will use funds to pay Bank BNI BAP facility worth 893 billion rupiah. Based on Sentul City's financial reports as of September 2020, Ion Mall's land and building asset value at the end of the third quarter was 2.05 trillion rupiah. Meanwhile, the total assets of Sentul City at the end of the period reached 18.72 trillion rupiah. From all sources, IDX Channel. Despite nickel commodity is gaining momentum nowadays, nickel producer Vale Indonesia noted its nickel productions decreased around 14% in the first quarter of 2021. Nicholas Kanter, CEO and President Director of Vale Indonesia, said that nickel productions of Vale Indonesia decreased around 14% in the first quarter of 2021. He said that the decline was due to maintenance activities. The company produced 15,198 metric tons of nickel in the first quarter of 2021. But throwback to the first quarter of 2020, the company was able to produce 17,000 metric tons of nickel. Furthermore, the production target Vale Indonesia in 2021 is around 64,000 metric tons. The realizations is lower than last year, whereas Vale Indonesia plans to rebuild one of its electric furnaces this year. From all sources, IDX Channel. Utama Rano Raya remarked a shiny performance in the first quarter this year. The issuer and laboratory pharmaceutical and medical equipment earned around 228 billion rupiah in January to March 2021 period. Utama Rano Raya announced first quarter 2021 earning results. Based on financial reports, company's revenue went up significantly by 754% when compared to the same period of last year. The company earned 228.16 billion rupiah in the January to March 2021 period, while in the same period of last year, it was only 26.71 billion rupiah. Utama Rano Raya recorded sales of more than 10% of the total revenue to three parties. Biggest sale contributions belongs to Sinergi Utama Sejahtera, worth 20% of the whole sales. Second biggest sales contributions belongs to Tawada Healthcare, worth 17%, and Indofarma Global Medica, worth 12.81%. This revenue spike indicate driver of surging net profit. Profit after tax reached 20.91 billion rupiah, whereas company's profit shot up by 846%. From all sources, IDX Channel. That is all for market conditions. As coronavirus pandemic takes a big role on current economic situations, here it is an update data about coronavirus globally. And the news close of market headlines today. Please enjoy our next program on IDX Channel, your trustworthy economic business and capital market channel. I'm Claranta Wijaya. Have a nice evening and stay safe.